Real quick, before you get to questions, I just wanted to start out by thanking the Bagulas. We say that a lot around here, but to be able to reward Josh and help us pay the franchise quarterback that we found here a few years ago, you got to have ownership that's committed. And so they never bat an eye. They're so good with listening and being a part of the process. And our players see that. And, I know Sean and I appreciate being able to reward the guys that we bring in here that have represented what we're all about. And so it starts with that. And then I want to thank Jim Overdorf, Kevin Meegank, Joe Shane, all these guys put in a lot of hours way back before we ever started the first negotiation, just researching quarterback deals and how we would structure this. There's a lot of ways to do it. So they led me along, so to say the least. So thanks to those guys. And then Josh and his representatives were great, did a great job. Patrick Collins took the lead with CAA and good young agent, and I thought he did a great job of fighting for what was important for Josh and listening to us for what we needed. So with that, we'll take questions.
Brandon, when you go back and reflect back to that hair-raising flight to Wyoming to Laramie, and you're both smiling, but could you have envisioned? I mean, this is what you envisioned down the line, but what is it like to have some sort of validation knowing you got that guy and here you are today?
Yeah, it's funny, John. I thought about that, and I was talking to Brian Dable and Joe Shane about it earlier. We were laughing, and Dable had said that Joe had sent him the old video that we have of Dable dropping some expletives on that journey. But it really, I was thinking about it through the process as we were wrapping this thing up, and it's cool. You always want to be able to draft, develop, and re-sign your own, and obviously it's a quarterback league, and Sean and I knew early that we needed to go draft a quarterback, a franchise guy, and Josh has been everything we could have asked for and then some, and we think the best is yet to come.
Brandon, I know you said there's no real rush to get it done. You're confident that it was a win more than an if, but was there any sense of urgency to sign him and lock him up before maybe the Browns or Ravens did so with their quarterbacks?
I didn't really worry about those guys. I mean, there's various ways to do it, various structures. I knew even last year, Josh and I had a off-the-cuff conversation about doing a deal, and him wanting to make sure he could do a deal that took care of him and his family, but that we could still win around here. And so I took all that into consideration as we structured this thing. And so I really wasn't worried about other deals, whether they happened or not. It was about getting the right deal for Josh and the right deal for the Buffalo Bills, and I believe that's what happened.
And to follow up real quick, was there ever a moment where you knew, okay, like for sure this is our guy, when you knew you wanted to sign him to that extension?
As far as when he was here?
Yeah.
I think very early on. I mean, you can't do it for 3 years, but Sean and I have been very proud of him each year when we kind of do our end of the season, recap. We do them with all players, but I've talked about it before, and Sean may have too, is Josh is his own worst critic, and he beats us to the punch of the things that we want to focus on in the off season. And that's what we had learned about him, whether it was him talking to Coach Bowl or some of the people I talked to or what our scouts found out about him. And he's been everything that we thought and then some. So it's an exciting moment for him and for our franchise.
Brandon, when we talked to you the first day at camp, you said there's no real momentum, heading towards a new deal with Josh. At the time, that was. How did it kind of ramp up and get to this point where you were able to get a deal done with him now?
Yeah, I mean that was legit. Sometimes you get to points that both sides are just a point of the deal that both sides are just stuck and trying to figure that out. And again, I credit Josh. I think Josh was staying in touch with his representatives, and we'll give on a couple things and, giving them the go-ahead. And so last night around 10 o'clock, you never know when it's going to happen, got the phone call, and we worked on it through the night, and we got it done.
And then Sean, what did, last season, what he was able to do and the steps he was able to take in his development, what did he prove to you as a quarterback?
Well, I don't know if he proved any more than he already had proved to us the year before, but it's just it's like when you're around people every day, it's just a continual evolution of a player in this case and a person, and so you don't see the real drastic changes, but you see the incremental changes day to day, and I think that's, and you guys are here at practice as well, and so that's what we've seen, and that's been fun to watch, and then going forward, I think, which is also an important point to note here is, it's obviously a leap of faith on our part and Josh's part as well, but the trust that's been built between the parties, and then also just the belief that he's only going to continue to improve, the way he's wired, the family he comes from, the support he has, the way his teammates view him. That was all big in terms of doing it now and feeling good about it for the future as well.
Brandon, what can you say about the length of the deal and the ability to stretch it out as much as the rules allow you to stretch it out?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is we're committed to Josh, so that shows, there's no trepidation on our part of, let's just extend it a year or two or anything like that. We believe in Josh, and part of that was what we wanted to help us. These are big numbers, as you know, and so the number of years allows us to see, hey, this year is going to be a little harder on the cap as we add other players or re-sign other players. The biggest piece to build your salary cap around is a franchise quarterback. That's going to always be. When you know those numbers, you can more easily work around what pieces you're going to add, and also, it's going to have some tough decisions. There's going to be some years where we're going to have to make a tough call and say, hey, we're not going to be able to re-sign player X. We're going to have to go to the draft or find a cheaper replacement.
You mentioned when you spoke with Josh last year, he wanted what was right for him and what was best for the team. Do you feel that this deal, while properly paying him, allows you that flexibility, understanding tough decisions will come, but gives you the flexibility to maintain the strong roster that you have under his rookie deal?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can never continue them on the prices of a rookie deal. So it's going to be tougher going forward, paying a guy into the 40s versus a 4-year deal that I think was around 21. So that's part of the way it is. We've got to do a really good job of finding young players that can play, whether it's the draft or guys on other teams that maybe they fell out of favor and we can get them for a lesser cost. So it's on us, me and my staff, to find it, and it'll be on Sean and his staff to develop these young players, because we all know there's only so many ways to fit guys under the cap, and we'll have to be strategic with that, kind of going forward, John.
Thanks for putting that on me, Brandon. Appreciate that.
Just
Lighten the mood a little bit around here.
What do you make of a player who has made such leaps and bounds and overcome the knocks and doubts that were around him when he came out of Wyoming?
Yeah, I think it fits Buffalo, right? I think, and that was part, as you guys have heard Brandon and I talk about when we went through that vetting process, the scouting process of making sure that we could check that box of the fit with Buffalo and the community. And I think that just it fits well, right? So people doubt, people don't know, right? And so that's a lot, to me, true about our city here. And people say things about Buffalo, but they really don't know. And they don't take the time to come find out. So I think Josh is changing that, and I think we're changing that.
What does this mean to both of you to, not only be able to, with multiple players now, fit the mantra of draft, develop, and re-sign, but especially for a guy like Josh, who, you did take a chance on him, and now you're seeing that come to fruition. I guess just kind of personally and professionally, what does that mean to you to see him take the steps he did and now be able to give him this contract?
Yeah, I'll just start off by saying that's one of the joys of coaching, right, is developing, in this case, a young man to improve and become what he's become. And it's not just the coaches, it's everyone on staff we have. It's our development team. It's I see some of them back here. It's Chris, it's Jason, it's Marty, it's Derek, it's Brandon. I mean, it's always all hands on deck when all these young men come into our and onto our team. And that's where that process comes in. And so, we always say, hopefully people come here and become the best version of themselves than they've ever been before, whether they're staff or they're players in this case. And we think that, we've done a good job in this case with Josh. And I think you can say that about a lot of our team. And certainly we're not perfect, but we try and continue to learn and continue to put a good team on the field. And that's why we've done what we've done with Josh here.
Sean, what does it say about Josh that it was reported he knew about the deal nearing a close and then still came out here and practiced the way he did? Obviously, leap of faith, you say the best version of himself. What does that tell you on such a defining moment in his life that he's able to, at least from our perspective, almost like a business as usual?
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, how he's wired. And that's what gives us, I guess, as much assurance as you could get from an organization standpoint on what we're going to see going forward. And so, yeah, I was trying to make sure we had a quick whistle back there if we needed a quick whistle. And I think one of the first times I've ever taken my cell phone out to practice, and I was texting Brandon before, hey, is this going to get done and where are we at? Because obviously there was concerns health-wise. So we respect that and would always want to protect Josh in that case.
What did you guys observe about how his teammates responded to the news?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Some of the things that Derek shared with me, current teammates, former teammates, both at the pro and college level. It says a lot about who Josh is and the family that he comes from.
Josh, Trey, Dion, Micah, Matt, these guys who have been extended here in the last year or so, what does that say about where this team is at since you guys came in and started to do this overhaul?
To me, it's the goal. Like, we smile, and it goes back to Heather's question too, Maddie, is we would love every player we bring in here, whether it's the draft or we found them in free agency. We'd love to develop them more, the best version of themselves, whatever you want, and extend them. We know it doesn't work that way, but every time we can do that, we feel great, like a proud parent, so to speak, that this guy has done everything. And it's important. It sends the message to the locker room. These guys that are getting extended, they are doing everything we're asking, and Josh is a perfect, another perfect example among the list that you listed there, Maddie.
Brandon, as Sean said, it's a leap of faith, but how much did it weigh into your decision to take that leap of faith? Your confidence in the system that you've placed around Josh, the additions you made, the coaches that you put in place, and then Sean, the lessons that you taught him over the past several years.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Sean and Brian Dable, Ken Dorsey, Shea Tierney, all the people that have put their hands around Josh, that makes you feel confident. They understand what he does well, and then we've been able to figure out what kind of weapons he likes the best, what he sees, what he meshes well with, and we've added those things, and so that gives you the confidence. And as Sean said, we got a full development staff here to help people continue to grow. Josh is by no means a finished product. He'll be the first one to tell you, but those things and where he's come from to where he's at today, that gives you the confidence to ask the Pagulas to allow you to make this move.
Brandon, you mentioned you got the call at 10 o'clock. Could you walk us through how it got from there to pen to paper? Did you sleep at all?
Yeah, I will, but yeah, you know what? It was honestly, it was really they seeded some things and then asked for some things, and I kind of just took them down, and then I got Kevin Megank on the phone, and Kevin and I went through, talked it out, and we called Josh's people back, and a couple times we got off and huddled. Kevin and I huddled. They huddled with their group and jumped back on. And a little bit before 4, we had, I would say, 98% of it done. We still had to finish some things. We had hoped to honestly get it signed before practice, to the point over here that Josh went out there and Sean was going to have that quick whistle to protect him. But we just couldn't get it done. This contract is double in length at most, and there was a lot of fine-tuning parts that we had to get nailed down.
You've had a lot of firsts as a general manager, as a head coach. What did it feel like to sign a deal like this? This is a market-setting franchise record deal. What did it feel like when it finally got done?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're excited. You're excited for the organization, excited for Josh. A relief. You know, we talked about it again. The quarterback is you can't win if you don't have one at this level. You know, sustained success that we've mentioned here, and we fought so hard to get those draft picks, that collateral to go secure, you know, Josh. And so it's a relief, and that goes back to the question that Mark asked, the length of the deal, to know this organization has what we believe is the right guy in place for the next 8 years. And, you know, I'll let you add to that, Sean.
Yeah, nothing to add really. I mean, same feeling, you know.
Let's take two more before we bring
The process to get to this point. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, I'm sure, but draft quarterback, surround him with talent, succeed and re-sign it. It seems so simple, but why is it so hard to do this in the NFL?
Go ahead, Sean.
We got about 2 hours here. We can all just open the book up. No, well, first of all, I'll just say people, and a player like Josh, they don't come along, you know, every year. They're hard to find, right? So every team is out there looking for that spot, you know, to be able to say they have that. And with that, I'll put that in the proper context of Josh still has a lot of work to do. And as Brandon said, he'll say that, right? And I love that. And so, but yeah, it's from a scouting standpoint. I'm going to get out of my lane here for a second into your lane.
You
But
started in scouting.
they don't come. They're just hard to find. They don't come along every year, and everyone's looking for them if you don't have one. And then when you have one, when you get to a certain point, and they get a certain age, then you got to be looking for another one. It's how do you position yourself? And so, I mean, this really is years in the making, right? And so, but at the end of the day, the player has to come in and he's got to want to work, and endear himself to his teammates, stay level-headed, which Josh has done that. You know, do what he's done in the community, and then win games, and he's done that to this point, and we hope it'll continue. And that's why we've done what we've done.